Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to a new video on the channel, and the apocalypse is here if you were to believe what everybody is saying at the moment. This video is not clickbait at all. There is a way now that you can basically see inside any collectibles pack. So whether it's Pokemon cards, whether it's sports cards, whether it's, I don't know what you collect, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, there is a company who has managed to use a CT scanner now to tell you exactly what is in that pack. So you can go and buy a pack, you can give it to them, they will scan that pack, and it will tell you what is in there, basically. And when we talk about what is in there, it's mainly about the holo card or the rare card. We're not sure about its complete use across all card types, but we know it definitely works with Pokemon cards and sports cards. I'm assuming it's the foil or something like that that gives it away. But we're going to have a look at them, and we're going to talk about how that affects the Pokemon market. I've seen people at all ends of scale. Some say it doesn't make a difference whatsoever, and people that are literally like, it is the end of the world as we know it. The truth is, my opinion is somewhere in between it. So we'll have a look at it. Let's have a look at the website. I'll be right back. So we are here at Industrial Inspection and Consulting LLC. Not something that anyone would have known about prior to recently as a company, unless you're in that space, I guess. But they basically did some test studies. I'll show you in a second using your Hypno and a Mega Blastoise EX to basically see if there was a way for them to tell what was in Pokemon cards, okay, in Pokemon packs. So this is basically the test study. They started off with a first edition Fossil Hypno. And as you can see, I won't put the whole video on for you because it will just long it out. But you can see that basically the CT image, for those who don't know what CT scanner is, it's usually used in medicine. It's usually used to diagnose people with issues in the body, basically. People have used it for different things plenty of times, but they basically did it and were able to basically determine that behind a set of cards would be this Hypno, okay? Then they scanned other cards and managed to again determine there'd be a Mega Blastoise EX, which they put in the kit worth $700. Some of the talking they've done is inflating the price on certain cards a little bit, but the issue with this is that when they first announced this and when it was all talked about, they sort of talked about doing it as if it was just to show people they could do it. I think they quickly realised they could make money out of it, and so what they've now done is offer it out as a service, okay? So the price is crazy, and this is why I think you have to take everything here with a pinch of salt. The cheapest you can do this for is $65, okay, per pack. $65 per pack, and you've got to have, I think it's if you're doing 11 plus packs, that's what it's going to cost you. 70 if you're doing 6 to 10, 75 if you're doing 1 to 5, okay? Now, people are up in arms about this, going ballistic about it, saying it's a hobby killer. It isn't. I can't stress that enough, it isn't. Where it does affect people, it can be good and bad, I guess, is people that like to play and work with vintage cards. So if you think about Pokemon as in a nutshell right now, and even like sports cards right now, a single pack of current cards, the cards that are currently in stores, isn't that expensive. 5, 6, 7, 10 quid, depending on what you're opening and what you're collecting. Very few people are going to go and pay £65 to scan a Scarlet and Violet pack. And let's be real, it's not going to happen. The people that are going to pay for this service are going to be people that are dealing in the higher end. So things like vintage cards, that higher tier modern sets, so something like Evolving Skies and Pokemon. They're the people that are going to pay to do this, okay? So it's going to benefit people that have a lot of vintage cards, okay? So people that have got a lot of vintage boosters, boxes, whatever, this could be a really good way for them to see what they've got. Basically, if they wanted to, they could rip what is great, sell that all for profit, and then basically sell the crap stuff. It now leaves scope for people to be scammed. Whether people do get scammed or not, I mean, if you get scammed, it's probably because you're not buying from someone that you really should be buying from. But that's going to benefit them. Where it might harm people is, let's say figuratively speaking now, the market does go a bit iffy now on vintage stuff. If people have been buying vintage stuff for investments to hold for a little while, I'm going to be intrigued to see what the market does in seal vintage. The problem I've got with this, everyone's going ballistic about it, like it's terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible, and it is bad. Let's get this straight, it is bad. And will I ever use something like this? No, to be fair, I don't really play about with vintage anyway. But it's a very select few people that are going to use this. Now, most of the people that have the ability to buy vintage packs en masse even though someone's going to be doing this and can probably negotiate a way to get what they want, basically. Or they're buying enough and they're buying from people that doesn't really matter. They probably bought from these people for a fair amount of time. They know they can trust them, for example. Where people might get a bit stung is those guys that do like to open up vintage but don't have the money to go and buy tons of them. And I feel bad for those guys that are like, right, I've saved up a lot of money to crack open a base set booster. There's a risk now that the card that you're buying is going to have been, well, the pack you're buying is going to have been scanned. Now, we had this back in the day with the weighed and unweighed and stuff like that. And the unweighed and weighed thing, people had an issue with that at the time. I never really did. I get it took away an element of surprise. I get that. But it meant that people knew what they were selling and knew what they were buying. There was a little less gambling involved from a buyer's perspective. From a seller's perspective, it probably made things easier for them because they knew what they could sell for. From a buyer's perspective, though, you knew if you were buying a heavy pack, the chances are there was a hollow in there. When you add to that now that the packs can be weighed and then scanned, it does worry me ever so slightly. Where I think it's really going to be a problem is in sports cards. In Pokemon cards, yep, I get the issue. But there's loads of packs, loads of cards, whatever. Sports cards are a bit different in that there's a lot of 1-of-1s and 1-of-2s and those sort of cards, serialized cards basically. That's where it's a worry because it's going to make the hunt a lot more difficult, and it's going to make it you got out with a bit more trepidation because if you remember, there was the Magic the Gathering 1-of-1 ring basically, and I think Post Malone owns it now, but someone in Brazil got that, and that was great. Imagine if you had enough money, you're the sort of person that has a decent amount of money to buy in a load of packs. You could essentially go and buy in tons and tons of packs, get them scanned, and then sell them on for a fair amount of profit, knowing what's inside of those packs, and sell the stuff that's crap basically for not very much. Where I think everyone needs to calm down a little bit is in the price point here. This isn't cheap at all. It's really, really not cheap. So anybody that's going to get you their card scanned, they've got a degree of risk here because, again, the minimum you're paying is £65 to get a card, a booster box scanned. Now, if that booster box is a crap booster box with just Poliwraths and Chanseys in it or whatever, you're probably not going to make that much money back at the end of it, all said and done. Obviously, if you hit a Charizard or a Blastoise or a Venusaur, then that's another matter. Or if you go to Skyridge and all those sets, it's another matter because hitting one of those is going to completely and utterly take it to the moon. The average person, I don't necessarily think is going to get done by this. It's not really going to affect those of us that are opening modern sets, Scarlet and Violet, Paldea Evolve, stuff like that. It's not really going to make a huge difference. All I think it's going to do is make people think twice about vintage, and that's sad for me because that's where most of this hobby started out. It's where I started out in terms of my love for Pokemon cards was in vintage stuff. I just don't think it's going to have the massively negative. You've got people talking about how the hobby's over and how buying sports cards and buying Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards is pointless now and you're always going to be scammed and it's nonsense, it's crap. The average Joe is not going to do this. They're not going to go out and get their pack scanned. You're not going to get someone sitting there going, right, let me go and scan that Paldea Evolve pack in case it's got a Magikarp in it. No one's doing that. By the time you scan the pack, you basically lost the money you would have had on the Magikarp anyway. Modern cards just don't hold the value to make it worthwhile on modern cards. The people that will be doing this are people with money. Long and short of it, they're the people that are going to be doing it. People that can afford to do this and try and guarantee what's in their pack. They're the people that are going to utilize this service. Now, what I'd say is that going to be enough to sustain this? Hopefully not. That's the aim. Ideally, we don't want it to be a thing. We don't want it to be something that people can just readily go and do. But I do think it does give a bit of a leg up to those guys who have that sort of money. The people that have got the sort of money to basically go and buy into another cards. Let's say, figuratively speaking, you can afford to go and buy 30 booster packs. Well, you can go and buy those 30 booster packs, go and scan, I don't know, all 30 of them, sell the 22 that are crap and keep the 8 that are great, open them, upgrade them, make some money. Is that really their fault? No, they've got the money. You might want to do it because you've got the money. Fine, so be it. Do I think it's ethical? No. I think it removes one of the major elements of this hobby, which is to open up packs and see what you get. Basically, it's supposed to be by chance and by luck. Do I think the Pokemon Company will let this stand? Not at all. I think the Pokemon Company will do something about it. I can't see how they're going to do that. It's going to be very difficult for them to stop people from doing this, but I just don't think they're going to sit back and be like, yeah, do you know what? It's fine that you're doing that because it's not what they intended. Moreover, when it comes down to it, part of the reason why Pokemon sports cards, whatever it is, have done so well is that nostalgic element that as cards get rarer, people want them more. FOMO creeps in, people want to open those packs up. If suddenly there's an issue to that, Pokemon aren't going to like that because it makes sets less valuable over time. And don't get me wrong, Pokemon don't control the secondary price of Pokemon cards or the market and whatnot, but it's in Pokemon's best interest for cards to have value, because that means the hobby's got value. It means more people will do it. Basically, it's basic economics. But we're going down a slippery slope if people engage with this. Now, I know there are certain YouTubers talking about how great this is and how amazing this is. If you're seeing YouTubers doing that, the chances are they're involved in this. You see it a lot with people bigging up certain grading services or certain elements of the market because they probably bought 30 of those cards. Just be a bit careful, because there are a lot of bad actors, especially on YouTube that I've seen in the last week or so about this. I don't think it's going to have a catastrophic effect at all. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. It will make me think twice about vintage to a certain degree, but the people that I buy my stuff from, I trust them. I've bought from them plenty of times before. I've got hits. I've got stuff where it's not been hits. I've had really good quality stuff. I've had less good quality stuff. I know what I'm buying from them because they tell me first. It's as simple as that. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't think it's the end of the world. Do I like it? No. But I think the average Joe isn't really going to be affected by this too badly, except for those guys that just want to maybe dip their hands into the vintage space and buy a pack or two to open with their mates. And I hope that it doesn't reach that far down to get to that point where people get stung by it. Yeah, let me know what you think about. We can literally now see into packs that are sealed. That is absolutely mental in this day and age. We're finally seeing technology, but it's not really what we want it for. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. Would you use this service? If it was available to you, what do you think about it? Feel free to disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. You haven't got to agree with what I'm saying. But yeah, let me know down below. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe down below. Click the like button and drop a comment. It makes all the difference to the channel's growth as we embark on our new journey. But for now, I'm out. Peace out. I'll speak to you soon.